when it comes to making jewelry, it seems that you're kind of a jack of all trades and that you do it all. So how did you get started?
I got started with the stones first. Most people, they either do stones or they do metal, but I do both. And what happened was I was a marriage and family therapist and a social worker working in mostly mental health, homelessness, very high stress, child welfare, that kind of thing. And so I was always in my head, and I needed something to take my focus out of my head and on something beautiful. And since I was a kid, I've been a rock collector. So in the city I was living in at the time, they had a lapidary club, and lapidary means people who cut gemstones. And so I joined it, and there was so many amazing, quirky, but amazing people who have been doing this all their lives. They're as an amateur or as a geologist or gemologist. And so they taught me how to identify stones and how to cut stones and all of that. And I had an opportunity to leave my career early, so I took it and I just threw myself in full time into the gemstone and learning. And I just couldn't get enough of it. And I would go out on field trips and dig and all that kind of stuff. And then I was cutting all these stones and sometimes selling them or whatever, but I didn't like what people were doing with them, kind of. And I realized that I had a vision for the stone when I was cutting it. So then I went to metalsmithing courses and schools and mentors and that, and I learned how to work with silver and copper, so I could do my own designs. And so when I looked at a stone and I wanted to talk in the jewelry about the stone, I could also do the design of the setting as well. So it completed the story of the stone.
It's like you're telling the stone story then.
Very much so. And people who, like I do art shows because I consider this more art jewelry than just sort of, because nothing's reproduced. Everything is one of a kind. And they do have a thought process, a design process to it. And when I meet people at art shows, they're often curious about, because I use very unusual stones. So they're curious about the designs and the stone. So I tell them the story, where the stone came from, why I chose it, why I cut it the way I did, how I dug it, or if I did, and then why and how I designed the setting. So very much they're attracted to the stone initially. Then when I tell the story, they develop a relationship with the piece of jewelry and with me as the artist. And it makes a more meaningful and deeper experience when they wear it, kind of thing. They feel like they're part of the story now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and even just with the thought of everything has energy. I mean, stones have energy, crystals have energy, being a part of that process. And I feel like that would be such an empowering thing to experience, to know a stone's origins, where it came from, and to be part of that story would be, I think, pretty incredible. That's so cool that you provide that.
Well, and as part of that, and this is sort of where I'm a little bit different sometimes, is I'm very conscious of how the stone was taken from the earth, because if you do believe in energy, and we are all part of our environment, and how we extract those gemstones is very important to me, because there's a lot of unethical mining where they destroy the environment of the place that they're mining. It's usually poor countries, human rights violations, no labor standards, child labor, all those kind of things that, to me, and particularly to people who believe in the energy of the stone, contaminate the stone. I don't want anything to do with that. I want my stones to be ethically and environmentally sound. And so when they come to me, they come with a reverence or respect for the process and the gemstone, and I pass that on to other people. So that's an aspect that I try to educate people about that too. And so that's for some people where the spirituality and the energy of the stones are very important. I do go to some special places, some sacred places here in Canada, where it's only Indigenous people who access that land. And there's some places that are very remote and not accessible. And I've developed relationships where I can obtain some of these very sacred crystals. Usually they're called phantom and forest crystals. They're very protected by the people who protect the land there. And so when, I get a few here and there, and they go to people who are very special, and they know that I can do that. And so they're interested in the power, because these particular crystals for them are exceedingly powerful.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I believe that crystals are very powerful, that they hold energy, and that, they can either, dispel energy or call energy in or enhance it. And that's really cool that you're able to go and get some from other places where other people aren't. That's awesome. So is there a specific meaning behind the name of your company?
Yes, TerrAdore. In Canada, well, I live on the border of Quebec, so there's a lot of French, English. My husband's French, my daughter speaks French. So I'm a Westerner, so my French is not the greatest, but for me, there's a lot of, our language is very Latin based, particularly stones are Latin based. So terre means the earth, and adore. So TerrAdore means love the earth.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Awesome. So we talked about your career before starting TerrAdore, and you mentioned, so you were a marriage and family therapist and social worker. What really helped you make the leap to pursuing your business full time and leaving that chapter behind?
Well, that was a process, and it took a while, because I loved my job, and I loved the people I worked with, and I was successful. We had a lot of good results, I guess you could say. So it was a very rewarding career, but it was exhausting. So by the time I left, I was ready to go and turn a page. And the creative and artistic side of myself, it's always been there. And I would manifest it in different ways, but it was always sort of, kind of pushed to the side. It was an extra. Yeah. And as I thought, I just had a yearning to express that more so, because I felt that it had been sort of suppressed in the interest of helping other people. And as I was attracted to the stones, and then as I worked more with them, I developed this appreciation of the beauty of them and the potential. You're taking a dirty old muddy thing out of the river or out of the earth, and when you first get it, it looks like nothing. It's just a rock. But it's to be able to just see a little glimmer of what might be inside that stone, and then to reveal it. You all don't always get a winner, but I kind of like them all, even some of the ones that are more common, and people might use them for their driveways, for example. Some particularly around here, but I see a beauty in them, and that it presented in a particular way, they could make for very beautiful adornment kind of thing. So it was just a slow, emerging, evolving process of my creativity coming to the fore. And as I started in the metal smithing, particularly too, people start that in their 20s, and they go to schools in Europe and learn goldsmithing, and technically they're very, very talented and astute. I was starting way back, I didn't have a lifetime to learn. So technically, I wasn't great, but I was getting an enormous amount of positive feedback on my designs. So there'd be other people who'd been making jewelry forever, and their work was beautiful, but the design wasn't particularly, you know, enhanced. It wasn't particularly outstanding, I guess. Whereas mine, the technical part was, you know, like your average person wouldn't notice, but a jeweler would. But my design was really unusual, and I hear all the time from, whether it's other jewelers or from people who buy from me, I've never seen anything like this, or I've never worn jewelry, couldn't be interested, but I love yours, you know, these kind of things. And so I realized there was something in there. There was some sort of creativity and or for an artistic expression that I had. And so I really tried to cultivate it. And that's where I went into more mentorship with some jewelry designers that I had been following, and I approached them and had some mentoring from them and that kind of thing. And so just to sort of, because I had no artistic background or design background or anything like that. So it was just completely intuitive, right from just from a dream. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't, you know, that I was kind of on the right track. And so I got a lot of encouragement.
Oh, I love that so much. And I love that story. It shows, one, it's never too late to find out something that you're passionate about and to pursue another hobby. And also there's these things that we're all just born with, the ways that we're able to see things in some specific way. And no matter when that realization comes to your life, I mean, honing in on that, leaning into that, that's what's going to bring you your most abundant and magnetic life too, your most passionate life.
Oh, absolutely. And I recognized that in myself, because I've always been interested in art and crafty things and stuff but with this, it was almost an obsession. I thought about it all the time. And I started to be a bit of a gemstone addict. I was buying, not finished gemstones, but I would buy a slab from somebody I knew. I never buy from people I don't know, because I want to know that they take the same care and attention to where it came from as I do. But I would go to a lapidary club or a gem show or something and see, and I just had to have, you know. So I toned that down a little. I calmed down a bit as time went on, because I had more slabs than 2 lifetimes worth. But
yeah, well, that is such a gift to be able to pursue something that you feel that passionate about, something that you feel obsessed about. It gives you energy and motivation. Oh, yeah. I mean, that is like, you can't ask for a better life than that, you know?
Oh, and other people, like there are, the lapidaries are all alike that way. People plan their entire life around stones, their vacations and their retirement and everything around the stones. And so it is, but I can understand it too. Like you said, the energy, there is some people are just drawn to it.
Yeah.
You know, people are drawn to other things, you know, diving or you know, parachuting or whatever it is. But for us rock people, it's all about, and there's a little bit of the treasure hunter in us too.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Like, oh, look what I found, kind of thing, you know. There's an excitement to it, you know, it's the quest.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So what are the benefits of ordering custom made jewelry from, you know, somebody like you, a small business, compared to fast fashion?
Oh, yeah. You might have to hold me back on that.
No, let it rip.
Okay. Well, apart from the fact that it's one of a kind. So when you wear it, nobody else has it. And if it's particularly unusual, you will get a lot of attention. You know, if you're buying things from a major jewelry producer, you know, Pandora or somebody like that, yours might be custom to you because you've chosen the pieces, but everybody else is wearing the same style kind of thing. If you were wearing custom, you're going to get attention to yourself. And for a lot of people in the business world, for example, they do this cocktail party circuit and that kind of thing, or even it just in the workplace or meetings and things, to draw attention to yourself with something that is a design that speaks to your personality, say it's bold or it's strong or those kind of things, you're communicating that before you even open your mouth. So, you're giving an impression, okay, here I am, and I am not afraid to show this off, sort of thing. Ask me about it, let's engage. So that's one aspect of it. But there's also the practicalities of it that I think of, and the ethical issues. Fast fashion is fast for a reason, because it exploits people to make it cheap and to make it fast. And there's even beyond the ethical reasoning for that, you want to support people in your own communities. I mean, I know people are always saying, oh, I love the artists, I love the markets, I love this and that. But then they go to the internet and buy, from the big billionaires so they can buy a new toy to go to space in. So, your local people are people who make your community what it is. And they're just struggling to get by. So to have your support means everything to them. And they have beautiful products on top of it. Yes, you may not be able to get 5 of them for that dollar amount, but you have one spectacular piece that can be your legacy piece. You can leave it to your children and your grandchildren or whoever, or to a friend who loves and admires it, because it will last. Yeah. And then there's also safety, which people don't know about. Fast fashion uses metals that are obtained from usually China or somewhere in Asia. And the regulatory controls of metals, even if it says sterling silver, the controls are not what they are here. The standards aren't either. So that piece that says it's sterling silver might have other things in it as well, and toxic things like lead, or things that will make you allergic, like nickel. And worst case scenario is they might have cadmium in it, which is fatal. It's deadly in large amounts. And it may not be to you, but it might be to your child or your baby who's rubbing up against it, or, putting it in its mouth, that kind of thing. And then for the fast fashion costume jewelry, it's even worse. When they don't regulate that in North America the way they do in Europe. So here it's just done random testing. And whenever they do random testing of the jewelry at the local mall, that all the teenagers and the kids love to get because it's cheap and it's trendy, they find horrible things in them, like cadmium and lead. And for children, they do put them in their mouth, and they may be, and they wear them all the time. They wear them in the shower, that kind of thing. And they can have health repercussions, particularly to children, but to adults as well. So, and nowadays people are so sensitive because of the environment and things. And so there again, I use only metals that I know that they're produced in North America. So I know they're safe. They don't have toxins. And I never use anything that has anything that people might be sensitive or allergic to. So the only metals I use are for earrings, for example, for ear wires, are sterling silver, gold, or niobium, which is kind of a new metal, but it's non-reactive. So and I would use that because I can get it in different colors. So if I'm making a copper jewelry, I don't want silver ear wire on it. That's sort of, so I want it to match. So I'll get niobium. And it's not a cheap metal either, but it's that extra care and attention you'll get with custom jewelry. That fast fashion, all they want is your money. They don't care about your safety, your children's safety, or the ethics of how it was made or the raw materials were obtained.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Those are all really great points. I'm so glad. Thank you. So as a business owner, what are some of the benefits of being on a smaller scale and only creating original jewelry?
Well, as a small business owner, you're your own boss.
Yes.
And I had bosses for a long time, and so I really enjoy being my own boss because, yeah, if you fail, it's on you. But if you're successful, you know what you're putting into it, and if you're really passionate about it, everything is because of what you've done. So it can be extremely rewarding. You have to be prepared though for the downsides too, because COVID just about destroyed artists, because we like I was saying before, we have a relationship with our customers, and we sell at art shows and things. Those stopped. So and it's difficult to appreciate art jewelry, particularly, or custom jewelry online. It just doesn't translate in the same way it does in person. So it's also having a small business, particularly in a community like mine, which is a small village, but we have a lot of artists. So we have a very dynamic artist guild, for example. The Chamber of Commerce, everybody knows, each other's businesses. So it's not the kind of village that everybody knows your personal business. It's not gossipy and things like that, but there's a real community spirit. And as a small business owner and as an artist in the community, you get known and you get appreciated more, and you feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself, And so when we put on an art festival here, people come from New York and Montreal and Toronto and everything, because we have a reputation for doing it right. And they just have a wonderful time, and you can see it on their faces. And so being part of that is really rewarding.
Oh, I love that. Do you have any favorite types of jewelry to make?
Well, geez. They're your babies. When you're making them, they're your children. And you're like asking me, which is my favorite child?
You don't have a favorite?
Well, there's some things that I'm not so crazy about doing, but I do them. I make a more affordable line of jewelry in copper, for example, and they sell at some of the local boutiques and things, because I understand that not everybody can afford a piece, a silver. Silver's gone up in price 250% since the beginning of COVID. Wow. So the prices are high. Some gemstones are very expensive. So even though I try to keep my prices for even the silver gemstone jewelry, even some are down to around $100. Even for some people, that's too much. So I try to do an affordable copper earrings and that kind of thing. And so I don't know, they just don't fill my soul as much as a gemstone will, as I see it evolve into its setting, So it's not so much which ones I like better. It's more the more time I have with a design and a gemstone, the more attached I become to it. One here is one of those, and it appeared in an international art fashion magazine. Wow. And I get asked a lot if I'm going to sell this one, but when I was making it was not. I didn't think it would turn out to what it turned out to be. I just thought it, because it's not a particularly valuable gemstone, it's just an agate. But it was, sometimes you get surprised. Yeah. It just turned into something more than I had anticipated. So those are the kind of things I get a bit of a thrill from.
Cool. I love that instead of, finding a gem and having this vision and just forcing it to fit this vision, you kind of allow it to decide its journey. And when you take that control out, it's like you can really allow it to find its potential. And that is so incredibly cool and so unique. Like most people, you know, they aren't doing that, but that I feel like is something that is just so special about your business.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's kind of a design in the moment as opposed to design ahead of time. And it's even with some of them, it's gotten to a point now where when I'm cutting the silver out on the sheet, cutting them into sections so it's not such a big piece. And sometimes I'll take it and I'll look at it, and before I trim it all to what it's supposed to be, I'll look at it and I think, I like this better. Even just the raw cutting of it that had no design idea whatsoever, but was just for the function of going to be able to solder it. I'll look at it and I'll say, oh, this could be really good. Then I just kind of throw out my idea and off I go. So it is a very organic process sometimes.
Yeah, that's so cool. So on your website, and you've mentioned this in the interview, you'll dig and collect materials yourself. What's that process like?
Well, I don't do a lot of it anymore because I'm getting a little past that. But the lapidary clubs often organize field trips. So I'll do it two ways. I do my own thing and I do with a group. And so there'll be one or two of these sort of prospector types who have found somewhere within maybe 100 miles of where the club is. And they will get permission, if it's on a private property or even if it's public, to bring a group there. And so we off we go in our little cars, and so just a little sort of group that arrive there, and then the leader or whoever it is that organized it will say, okay, well, this is what you're looking for, and we found some here, there, and the other. So kind of off you go, and everybody's got like picks and just what you could imagine, sledgehammers and the whole bit. Sometimes on the side of a highway where they've, dynamited to build the highway. Ooh, let's look there. Other times, and on those occasions, there's always a bunch of young guys. And so I just hand them the sledgehammer and say, how about right there? So very, very, everybody just kind of helps everybody else. So you end up with these big boulders. Not much I can do with that. So I have to take them into the city where they have a special slabbing machine, super expensive. So you just pay to have them slabbed. And then you end up with just, a piece like this. It's just a certain thickness, usually about the same thickness. And then I'll take it and then I draw in whatever shape I want. And then I cut it on my saw. And then there's other times where we'll go to a mine, there's some small mines around here, and we'll pick through their waste pile. So they're mining for something specific. And oftentimes it's for industrial metals or industrial minerals. And so their waste pile is full of really beautiful things that we can use. Yeah. So we'll dig around there. And so I've gotten lots of things that way as well. And for me, I try to go for the small pieces, but other people, they do, they do big, more sculptural kind of pieces and vases and things. So they can get those there too. And then there's the vacation gemstone hunting, which I think I mentioned before. I went to, my family lives on Vancouver Island, so I go there quite often. Mm-hmm. And it's, like most islands, it was created by a volcano. And there's a mountain and there's streams and rivers that go down to the ocean. So digging around in the river, I love doing that. So I just put on the waders and get in the river, usually after the snow's melted. And so it's, they're running fast and it pushes the rocks down. Mm. And also the process of, coming down the mountain in the water smooths off a lot of the hard edges, and they're clean. So I'm not digging them out of the earth and trying to figure out whether, not having to uncover dirt every time. So the rivers are really nice for me, and the and even beaches. There's Lake Ontario has amazing agate beaches and things like that, and it's also, people say, gemstones, you're looking for sapphires and diamonds. No, I'm looking for anything that has a pretty color and a nice pattern.
Yeah.
I'm not, and every now and then yes, if you want something very unusual, rare, and valuable, then I'll get those from other people, usually at a gem show or something, because and people that I know that they collect ethically, because that's just not something that I have access to.
Yeah. Cool. So we talked about this quite a bit already, but I just wanted to touch on it again. So why is it important to only purchase from local miners and people that are respectful to the land and the environment?
I use the example of a lot of people ask me at shows and things, are your crystals or your gemstones cleansed? Mm. And what they mean by that is, have I taken sage and, smoked them and things like that? And I think to myself, well, if they were obtained by child labor or, inhumane labor practices or areas where the mines are exploiting people and destroying the groundwater of their village, these kind of things, and disrupting the whole economic system in their villages, then I can cleanse them with sage forever, and they're still going to be tainted in my mind. Yeah. And I wish more people, there's a lot of people who love crystals, and I think that's fabulous, because they're appreciating nature's beauty, what nature's produced, which are amazing when you think about it. But I want them also to think of how they came to them. And if it's important, obviously it's important to them. If they're asking if they're cleansed, they care about the energy and how they were obtained. So they have to go a little bit beyond that and think of, okay, who actually took it out of the earth, and what were the circumstances there? Were they paid for it? Were they, adequately provided for? And was it respectful to the land as well? And that's what I appreciate here in Canada sometimes too, because there's a lot of gemstones are in Indigenous lands, and the Indigenous people are much more conscious. I'm making a generalization here, but conscious of treating the land respectfully, and not just going in with this attitude of like, take it out and make money kind of thing, and who cares what happens tomorrow. Yeah. And particularly now with the environment the way it is, we have to start thinking about we're about our planet and how we care for it, and the people on it who are less fortunate than us too.
Absolutely. Oh, those are all such great points, and something that, in our world right now, so much is consumption and fast fashion. Like, you don't think about where something comes from and the means to which it found its way to you. But being so conscious in that's the way that we should be moving in society, to, preserve the earth, like you were saying, to support smaller businesses, and to put our investments in with people who actually care about what they're doing, and they're not, like you said earlier, just trying to take your money and then have that break and then take more of your money.
Well, we call it slow fashion.
Yes, I like that. All about the slow fashion. So what made you decide to start using Tailwind for your business?
Well, I am a pre-internet age. So I am not as technologically comfortable, I guess, as people who are younger than I am, although I'm always been a good user. I like I like what technology can help me with. So, particularly when COVID started, I was aware of Tailwind, but in the early days when it was more of sort of a scheduling app.
Mhm.
And when COVID started, I really had to get my technological act together and get a better presence online. I had social media and a website, but I didn't spend as much time on it as I should have. So with COVID, I had the time to do that, and so I found it was really time consuming to be on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, there's just so many, and all the networking sites I was doing, but apart from my website. So yes, I learned, I learned how to use it. I learned graphic design for the purposes of social media and things, and I had to do better photography and all those things. So along the way, I noticed that, it had been recommended to me that I spend more time about Pinterest, because Pinterest being a very visual social media, and that there was all these new features, Pinterest, and it was becoming very popular. So I needed to up my game on Pinterest. And I took a webinar about Pinterest, and she was talking about Tailwind. And I was kind of surprised because I knew about Tailwind, but I thought, what do they got to do with Pinterest? And so she explained a bit about that, and I looked more into it, and I thought, oh, you mean to say that I could do a post once and get it on 3 sites? That really appealed to me, the time saving.
Mhm.
And then I got into my favorite part of it, which was the create, because what I was doing was I was taking my photograph, then I was going to a photo editor, then I was going to Canva to do the graphics, and then I was going to a scheduler. Well, no, I was creating posts, and then I was going to schedule. It was like, oh my God, I couldn't keep track. I had to keep learning new things all the time, which you do anyway, but that's all I was doing. So with the create, it took, I will be honest, because of, I guess because of my age, it took me a little longer to get, but I was really committed to it. So I spent the time, and I got a lot of really great help from customer support. That was one thing I was really impressed with. They were very patient with me and explained it very clearly, because I didn't find that the some of the help things were basic enough, I guess, for me to completely understand and do it on my own. So customer support was really helpful. And so when I figured out and got the create going with my photos, I really liked the graphics and the options. Like, it was just, I didn't have to sit there and pretend to be a graphic designer. All I did was I plugged in my the style of that I wanted, and the colors I wanted, and the things that were distinctive to my brand, and posted my photo, and then I was getting all these amazing options. And out of, I don't know, 30 options, maybe 5 were viable, kind of, because you got your text and your photo, and sometimes they don't always get in the right place. But then you can edit, you can tweak them a little bit too. So I thought, oh, this is great. And many times I'll select my my 5 favorites, and when I review them, I have the hardest time. I'm always passing around the computer saying, which one do you think is best? And downloading. So I'll save one of them for another time, if that piece doesn't sell, I want to repost it. So, and then it's the scheduling too. They even give me recommended times. I mean,
it's incredible.
I know. It's like, oh my God, like, what else are you going to come up with that you can do for me? Because
we got more in the works. Don't worry.
Oh, well, because I'm not the kind of person, I'm not a web designer, and I'm not, 20 years old. So I need somebody else to do these things for me, and I need the apps. And so once I figure out how I can get what I want out of it, it saves me so much time and it ups my game. I've had so much positive feedback on my social media sites, pages, and my website, and that because of the graphics. And the graphics then too are consistent because they're created for me, almost sort of customized for my brand. Yeah. But they all have those colors and the similarities and a similar look to them. So I don't have to actually do that in my brain. It's done for me. And so it's just one less thing for me to have to spend that, broadband in my head. I can devote that time and that thought process to what I'm good at, because I'm not good at technology. It's a tool for me.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate, I really appreciate Tailwind, and no, it hasn't been perfect for me. It's been a learning experience, but I would say if I had to choose which apps I would get rid of, that would not be the first at all. It would be one of the ones that I would really keep, because it really makes life more functional.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I use it for my own business too, and I feel the same way. Like my graphics look like a graphic designer designed them, and I love that on Create you can put your brand colors and your fonts in there, and it saves that so that, like you're saying, the consistency is the same throughout. It really does take so many aspects of like a marketing team and puts it all into an app just for you to use. It's great. We're a big fan of you too, but we're glad that you're a fan of us as well.
Well, one other thing too is that I've attended several of your webinars and chats and things like that, and so that's just a nice to have. It's a bonus kind of thing that let's see what other people are doing with it. Yeah, because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you have a favorite Tailwind feature?
Create.
The Create, yeah. I love the Create too.
No, that's really what makes it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's next for you and TerrAdore Jewelry?
COVID's been a real kick in the teeth, business-wise.
Yes.
So, I got a little bit of opportunities with Christmas and things. So after Christmas, though, I'm going to take some time and just, I don't know, take stock, I guess. And not with the jewelry making aspect of my business, although I want to learn some new things, some new techniques. I like using ancient techniques, and there's, and I'm a perpetual learner. I love to try new things and learn new things. So I have some of those in the background that I want to do. But from a business perspective, I would like to slow down on the doing shows. It's a lot of work. Yeah. You're packing up and moving everything in the displays, and it's just exhausting. And I would like to have a better online presence. And I have a lot of follow-up customers. Like once it's attracting new customers outside of my local kind of thing. It's and when I do my Google Analytics and that kind of thing, I noticed, there are people from Europe and the United States and across Canada that are buying from me or coming to my website. Mm-hmm. And so, but I've been thinking more on a local level. So I need to start thinking more about the what I'm offering on the online, how I'm offering it, and am I appealing to those people as well? So I'd kind of like to go a little bit more international.
Yeah. Oh, I love that for you. That's going to be great. I see a great future ahead of you.
The crystals told you.
Yes, they did. I have all my crystals. Well, this was such a pleasure. Thank you so, so much for the interview and all of the great things and your perspective. It's really a really fresh and one-of-a-kind perspective, and I'm so grateful that we were able to connect and you could share that with us.
It was a lovely chat. You made me very comfortable. Thank you.